All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ministry Revealed. It is August 16th, 2018, and we are still here. We are watching, we are praying, and we are looking forward to this beginning. And when I say that, I should be careful. We pray that we're first accounted worthy to escape all these things, right? We pray that our family and friends will come along as well, because the times that are coming, they're not going to be pretty. Well, today I'm going to cover some topics that are touchy, and I'm not going to say on a couple of these things that I have the concrete answer. I'm going to show you a couple things, and you guys decide. You can leave comments and so forth. I think they're telling us something. And then we're going to go into some things within Matthew, Mark, and Luke for part of the lesson, things that are shown, that are evidenced, and so forth, regarding when Jesus goes into the temple and when he throws things over in the temple, the phrases that are used, and how in Luke he doesn't throw anything over in the temple. So we're going to cover that, but we're going to touch on a couple things first that are touchy. All right? Before we start off into this, we'll go into Luke 1. So we'll start off with the first one, we'll go into the second one, and the second one will lead us into this, and then we'll go into Luke, Mark, and Matthew. All right? So this is what I want to show you guys right off the bat. And I think, why on earth would I show you guys the blood moons? Here's the question. I was lying in bed last night. It was about 1:30 in the morning, and my mind, it doesn't shut off with scriptures, guys. It's just about constant, right? So I'm lying in bed, and I don't know that I was thinking about the blood moons or anything. I was just, in prayer and just in thought of the Lord and the scriptures, and what came to my mind was Bob Jones. I've done a video regarding Bob Jones a couple times, just a little parts here and there in a couple videos. And Bob Jones was a seer, all right? It was proven. There's pastors all over the world that can tell you he was a seer, particularly in the Western world, right? And he said that when he was speaking to the Lord, so he died and he's met the Lord. He went to heaven. He confirmed what I was revealing months prior, which I didn't know he had ever taught on, or not really taught on, but talked about, that he said the people that were in line to go into heaven was about 2%. You guys that have been watching my videos for a while, you'll know what I'm talking about. Well, and for those who are new to the channel, guys, I recommend, there is so much covered on this channel, and it is worth your time to go back and watch and take the time. Instead of just coming in at this point and going forward, that's great. But you really want to go back and watch, the last, since January or something, as you have time. I know my videos are longer, but if you're looking for something to do and I don't have a video out and you want to watch something, go back and watch some videos that you haven't watched yet. It's worth it if you want some understanding here in relation to these end times. So with Bob Jones, when he had said, when he was in line in heaven, he said it was about 2% of people who had died. So what he had seen was, in that moment when he died, in that moment, not in that minute, not in that hour, not in that day, he said in that moment when he died and went to heaven, excuse me, he was speaking, and the Lord said, no, it wasn't time. That enemy, that demon wasn't allowed to take your life. And Bob Jones already had the confidence that it wasn't supposed to happen, and it happened. So I talk about that, but he was told he could look back, and he saw that only he said, literally was saying, about 2% of the population of the world that died at that moment was going into heaven. And I had done a couple videos about this prior to ever having heard of this. I've never heard of it in my life. And I was explaining how the bride is about 2% of the world's population. I believe now it's 1.8% to be exact. He said about 2%, and I showed how I believe it's exactly 1.8%. Here we are in 2018. Not on purpose. That's what the numbers told us. So, excuse me, and that's of alive people. So that everybody that's died since Christ, that was a believer, truly believed and would belong to Christ, all of those that died since then, in say almost 2,000 years, is 2% of everybody that died. Well, the reason I bring it up is because he confirms some things like that that I knew and that I've been teaching without, I understood it, but I've never heard it in my life. And here he was talking about it, never knowing himself. You can understand he understood what it meant, that it was only about 2%, but not the calculation or the understanding of why and who and so forth. I was revealed that before having seen his video. Now, he had many things like this. He told people dreams and things that would happen, and being visited by Michael the archangel and what he looked like. He described him to a guy that had the experience, that told him it was going to happen to get away his wicked dreams that he was having, keeping him up at just about every night. And this guy was a young pastor. So many, many, many things. And the reason I don't know why he came into my head last night, except that what came to my mind was he said, when he was speaking with the Lord, he was talking to the Lord about something, and he said the Hebrew calendar. And he said the Lord told him, not the Hebrew calendar, it's my calendar. And that's been in the back of my head for a while, but we watch a video or two and we hear some people's assessment of the Enoch blah 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 calendar, and it's not the this one to this one, and I get caught up with that stuff sometimes too. But this is going to be a really interesting question. Is it the full moon? Is it the crescent of the full moon? Is it the Enoch calendar? Is it the this calendar, that calendar? Well, I remember Bob Jones, like I said last night. It just was thrown in my mind. Bob Jones, the Lord told him the Hebrew calendar isn't called the Hebrew calendar. He said it's my calendar, God's calendar. So the next thing that popped into my head was this. Now let me ask you guys, for those of you who are like, oh, Alan, give it up. Guys, just bear with me. I'm with you. I don't know if it's really the proper calendar. Is it the full moon? Is it the crest of the moon? I believe this answers all of those questions for us. All of them. Every single one of them. Do you know why? I wish this was a live thing just for this one, but I don't know how, and I'm not going to bother doing it. But all of you guys pause for a moment and ask yourselves, do you believe, and I know some of you, rapture at twilight, right? I love that sister in Christ. She definitely believes and has some understanding, not quite figured out yet. None of us have it all figured out, but she knows there's something with this, right? And I'm not doing this to pick on her. I'm doing this to make a point. We, if not all of us that are watching and praying, if not all, just about every one of us believes that these blood moons were significant, right? Boy, I wish I was actually talking to somebody, right? We believe that it was significant. Now, why do we believe it was significant? Well, they landed on Passover and Sukkot, or Passover and Tabernacles, in the year 14 and 15, 2014 and 2015. And we believe it, right? Why do we believe it? I'm pausing just to give you guys a second to think about it. All right? Because the days it fell on, we believe they were right. They're significant for Israel. Books were written on it and people were teaching on it. Well, some of these same people on YouTube now that believe that these were true and they were significant because they landed on Passover and Tabernacles back-to-back years. Why do we think the calendar's changed? You follow me? These landed on Passover and Tabernacles. On whose calendar? Man, I got more windows open than usual. So just give it a sec. I prepared the other ones. There we go. It doesn't take too long. Why do we believe that they were significant on Passover and Tabernacles. Because it says Jewish calendar. This is the Hebrew calendar, all right? And what does it show? April 15th, Passover, October 8th, Tabernacles, all right? This year, they had this year was sorry, what's the name? I talk about it all the time. Second Adar year, which is why it was all the way into October, okay? So let's have a look. April 15th, October 8th. April 15th, oh, Passover, 2014. October 8th, oh, Sukkot, Feast of Tabernacles, October 8th, 2014. And it was a second Adar year. What? Wait a second. I thought we were all screwed up with our calendar understanding. Wait a second. Okay. April 4th and September 28th. You know, it might seem redundant, like, oh yeah, we already know that. Right? What is it? April 4th, Passover. September 28th, Sukkot, Feast of Tabernacles. Do you follow what I'm getting at? If the calendar was right, and the Hebrew calendar was correct in its calculation, and Passover and Sukkot and Passover and Sukkot fell back-to-back years with the blood moons, why are we now here in 2018, and we even some started in 2017, arguing whether it's the Enoch Ishoan calendar and the this calendar to that calendar? If you believe that these were true and they fell on Passover and Tabernacles, then guess what? The Hebrew calendar is correct. You get it? It hit me at like 1:30 in the morning last night. Dog had to go pee, so that helped. I was able to make myself a note so I wouldn't forget. Right? I was like, oh my goodness. Before our eyes the whole time. 4 years ago. 3-4 years ago. It's been in front of us the whole time. We're bickering on calendars, trying to figure out whose calendar's what. Do you understand? It can't be the full moon either. If it's based on the full moon, then this goes out the window. If it's the Enoch calendar, this goes out the window. If it's any other calendar but the Hebrew calendar, which we should say is God's calendar, and if it's anything but the crescent of the new moon, as the new moon, none of this makes sense if you don't have that. Which means throw this out the window. Everything we thought we believed about Passover and Tabernacles wasn't true. Yet 2014 was a second Adar year, and it landed on Tabernacles knowingly as a second Adar year. See what I'm saying? Second Adar year, and it fell on it. This wasn't a second Adar year, and boom, it falls on them. It is the Hebrew calendar, guys. Hopefully, that can put it to rest for us. Now, there is one thing within this all. Is the second Adar. All right? This one was the second Adar. Do they get all the Adars right? No, because they're pre-calling them ahead of time. We know this one was right. We can confirm this one was right because it ended up falling on Passover and Tabernacles. But does that mean they have them all right? No. And I've even explained that in a video several months ago now, showing for, I think the year 2023, late 2023, and then into 2024, when actually in 2024, when the year of the rapture happens for the rest of the church. The bride is going in this year, 2018. But for the rest of the church, the other 90, close to 90%, because the bride is only 10% of the church. I explained how there was an Adar count too many mixed up within it, and that was in a video quite a while ago. That's the only thing. Now here it was correct, but it doesn't mean that every second Adar that they've preset in the calendar is correct. All right? They'll get some right, they'll get some wrong, because sometimes it's every second year, sometimes it's every third year, but on average it says over 19 years it happens 7 times. All right? So hopefully, guys, that will give us a little bit more clarity, or flat out give us clarity that, wait a second, do I believe this? This was a second Adar year, and it landed bang on even with the second Adar year? And then the following year wasn't a second Adar year, and it landed bang on them both? And their blood moons on them? Either you believe this, or you don't. If you don't believe this was right and this was true, then go ahead and think whatever calendar you want. But if you were of them that believed, which is just about every one of us who were watching, that this really was significant and this was on Passover and Tabernacles, we need to give up on all of the other calendars, stop them, stop trying to figure them out, and stop trying to figure out whether it's crescent of the new moon or full moon. I'm not saying, it's not me telling you this, guys. It's the moons. It's the moons falling on the calendar that's provided already, the Hebrew calendar. You see what I'm saying? It's not me. I was just given a revelation to say, wait a second. All right? So hopefully I've beat that down enough here in the last few minutes that, you understand what I'm saying. It's clear. It's the Hebrew calendar. It's God's calendar. That's the one. They got this second Adar right. Did they get them all right? I don't believe so. Not on one of the counts. On some of the counts that I did going forward through to 2032, 33 even. There was one too many. When you go into the count, when you go into the 1260 and the 42 months and the time and times and half a time, you guys know on this channel, this is why those who are new to the channel, I say you need to watch previous videos. There's a reason it's 1260 days. There's a reason it's times and times and half a time. There's a reason it says 42 months. All three of those time frames are separate 3.5 year time frames. 42 months is from the time that the Antichrist gets his power to continue, it says. That'll be around mid-seals to the end of seals. Then it'll be the 1260 days, the first half of trumpets, when Jesus is here on Mount Zion. All right, everybody going to see him? No. They're only going to be able. People are only going to come by through the 144,000 that will have been sealed towards the end of at the end of the sixth seal. Then they're going to go out and collect all the people for the rapture and bring them to Mount Zion, set in paradise. Right? That's where they're going to go, to paradise. The bride that's going this year. The bride goes to the third heaven, just like 2 Corinthians 12:2 says. All right? So, I think this should put it to rest. I know there's going to be comments on it, people saying, well, guys, I'm just pointing out, if you believe this, if you believe what happened here, that it fell on those days, every other calendar and crescent moon, full moon, understanding that we're trying to figure out, believe me, I was one of you. I was one until this morning, and I went, what? It's the Hebrew calendar. All right? So, for those that this really makes a difference on, I pray this reaches you, and the understanding can be now put to rest, and we can focus in now on this timing with the correct calendar. All right? Excuse me. Now, we are going to go into, let me just close that one. We're going to go into something really interesting as well. Another very interesting thing. Okay, I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to talk on this first, just this first part of Luke, and then Luke regarding John the Baptist here. All right? The one who comes first to prepare the way for the Lord, right? So here we are in Luke 1:1. Listen to what it says. For as much as many have taken in hand to set forth in order a declaration of those things which are most surely believed among us, even as they delivered them unto us, which from the beginning were eyewitnesses and ministers of the world. This is Matthew. He's talking about Matthew and Mark, Gospels that were already written. All right? He says, even though these guys had it written and they did their thing and they put it in hand to us and so forth, and they were eyewitnesses, listen to what he says. It seemed good to me also. Remember, he's the Gentile. It seemed good to me also. What else? He didn't walk with Christ. He never met him, right? Having had perfect understanding. It seemed good to me, having had perfect understanding of all things, from the very first, to write unto you in order, most excellent Theophilus. See, even in order, it literally means subsequent. So this doesn't mean in order that you have greater understanding. It's not saying that, although it's probably part of it. It means literally in order of events. And what is this channel about? It is understanding the end time understanding of the scriptures. So here you have Luke, our guy, speaking to the bride, giving information to the bride, all right? Knowing that we're right now any moment away from the beginning of the 14 years, from the beginning of the tribulation. The 14 years probably may have already started with the white horse rider, right? The white horse rider already having appeared or be here, but not necessarily understood as being revealed yet. We're going to cover that. The red horse rider, we showed that January 31st this year on the super blood blue moon on Tu B'Shavat, remember, through Zechariah, which we're also going to touch on based on this. I believe the red horse rider is now here as well. I believe he knows who he is, and the white horse rider, I believe, already knows who he is too. Possibly. All right? But you got to remember, they're men. They're not going to be perfect. They're men. The Lord is using men and women, but in this case, men. Now, forget about the red horse rider. I'm not focusing on him here. I'm talking about the white horse rider. The white horse rider, we know that when the time comes, he has a scroll, right? He has the bow. That bow is fabric. It's like paper when they wrote on back then. All right? That's going to be the peace deal. Now, why does everybody believe that the Antichrist... Why does everybody believe... This is the only place, guys. I believe it's the only place as far as I know. Why do people believe that the Antichrist is going to be the one to do the deal? Just from this right here. This is it. Daniel 9:27. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. For those of you who have been following my channel, those of you who are new, this is going to mess you up. You need to go back and watch some previous videos. Especially watch the 3-part series called Operation 14 Years. You must understand from Genesis that Jacob and how he worked 14 years for 2 wives, and then he worked another 7. But he came to a covenant deal for the final year with his father-in-law. This is that final year when the Lord returns at the end of the 6th trumpet. All right, the 7th trumpet. Yes, trumpet. And he confirms the covenant that he made at the beginning of trumpets. That he was here for 3.5 years before he cut himself off because Satan was coming. The people of the prince that shall come. This has nothing to do. You know, I talked to you guys about it and showed you guys with Jonathan Cahn. I believe somehow Jonathan Cahn got hold, or somebody got him our channel, and he's seen it. He's seen some things. He couldn't give a for sure, but he thought it was interesting that this part could be for Messiah coming back, and because Messiah's first time was only 3.5 years. When he comes back to finish, it's 3.5 years for a total of 7. right? So this, people are still stuck on that this is the Antichrist. Well, it's not, because this isn't even in seals. This is the time of trumpets. Satan comes halfway through trumpets at the 5th trumpet. The Antichrist is going to be here and have power prior to, but is going to be given power to continue at about midpoint of seals. That's when he gets his power to continue 42 months. Right? This is Jesus. Messiah the Prince, coming to confirm the covenant in the final year. We've talked about it in the previous video, or previous videos. Right? That final year, which is what? Go read trumpets. What happens even after the 6th seal? It's like there's a break time. The rapture, the sealing of the 144,000, the rapture takes place, then there's peace and quiet for half an hour, for the space of half an hour, which is 6 months. It says about half an hour, so about 6 months. And then boom, the trumpets are going to begin. Revelation 14, boom, the Lamb and the 144,000 are there on Mount Zion. Because the Lamb is returning to Mount Zion, not Mount of Olives, Mount Zion. And I believe it's going to be somehow in the heavens, in the sky. However that's going to look, I don't know. Then go to the end of trumpets. What happens at the end of the 6th trumpet? Right? 6th trumpet. Come on. 6th trumpet. After the 2nd woe, what happens? Read it. 6th trumpet. Watch what happens. Where is it? There we go. End of the 6th trumpet. The 2nd woe was past. They were all affrighted. The 7,000 that had died, the rest that were there were affrighted and gave glory to God of heaven. 2nd woe was past. There's only one more woe, the 7th trumpet. What does the 7th trumpet say? The kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. This is that same thing. This is that final year. It's the last year. It's this right here. And he's going to wipe out Satan and his guys. See, for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate. He shall destroy it. Why would Satan or the Antichrist come in to destroy the overspreading of abominations that they made? See that? So let's go back here to Luke 1. That's just a very brief recap for those that might be new. All right. So here Luke is saying, I know that these other guys who are eyewitnesses have already given you some scriptures. But it seemed good to me also because I have had perfect understanding of all things from the very first. From the very top, from the very beginning. I've had perfect understanding to write unto you in order, in sequence, most excellent Theophilus. So what he's talking in sequence. Remember we were saying, and how many times have I gone through Zechariah 1 with you guys? Saying it's in order of events. If Trump is like a Darius character, there he is, 2nd year of Trump. What happens? Red Horse Rider is now here at the super blood moon on the Feast of Trees. But he's now hiding in them. He's hiding amongst the trees. So he's not revealed yet. Is it going to be Obama? I don't know. But if Zechariah is in order, which it is, excuse me, and you have a vision of horsemen, and Darius is the Trump character and he's first. Oh, we're going there. Is it possible the Trump is it possible? Is it possible, excuse me, that Trump is it possible he's the White Horse Rider? I'm going to show you some things today, guys. I'm going to show you some things. and it gave me the chills. All right? But the red horse rider, here he is, among the myrtle trees. That was Tu B'Shavat, on the Festival of Trees, the super blood blue moon. There again, think of it just like the blood moon tetrad. January 31st, it was the Festival of Trees on the Hebrew calendar, and there was a super blood blue moon, and all of us talking all the time that, yeah, that was a super blood blue moon on Tu B'Shavat, including myself. I'm not saying other people, even though them as well, but me too. I believed, and I've been teaching that that was this event right here, yet I'm still trying to figure out which calendar and if it's the crescent or the full moon. You understand? It proves it was the Hebrew calendar, God's calendar. All right? Yet again, in 2018. Well, that was the second year, in the second year of Trump. His second year began January 21st. That's your second year of Trump, right? And look, 20th day of the 11th month. All right? That's the 11th month. So keep going down here. There's your super blood blue moon. These events are what? Happening in order. What comes next? May 14th. 70 years. Right? We've covered this, and there's a reason I'm telling you this now. And then what? The Lord is jealous for Zion and for Jerusalem. He's a little bit upset. And then he gets really upset for the heathen that are at peace and quiet. Peace, quiet, and ease. All right? You can go do a search. We've talked about it before. This is that peace and safety. And that made him get really upset, and it helped forward the affliction. All right? This is 2018. So when people say, oh, well, where does the Bible say it's going to happen in 2018? Right here. Right here, Zechariah 1. Zechariah 1 gives us the order of events. Hosea is 14 chapters as well. It starts off with, boom, the escape of the bride. The Lord tells Hosea, go get your bride. Right? But what has to happen first? These things. Right? And so far, they've all happened in order. Where? In Zechariah, the prophet Zechariah. Well, guess what? Who is Zechariah's kid? What did Luke say? In order. In subsequent order. And look who he talks about next. There was in the days of Herod, of the hero, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zechariah. See, it says Zacharias. That is Zechariah. What? How often have I been teaching Zechariah is the sequence of events in order by year? 2018 all the way to 2031. I've covered it many, many, many times. And here we are in Luke 1. And Luke is talking about how I'm writing unto you with perfect understanding in subsequent order of events, that thou mayest know with certainty those things wherein thou hast been instructed. In Zechariah. Oh, in Luke 2. But he starts off by giving us who? Zechariah. In sequence of events. Isn't that crazy? Well, who's Zechariah, guys? We go to Zechariah. Zechariah 1 is 2018. Who's the big hero right now? Yeah, there is somebody, isn't there? But watch this. Okay, watch this. So, Zechariah, right, the prophet Zechariah, he's the father of John. Right? His mother was... Guys, when you see where this goes, you might want to catch your breath. It's unbelievable. I got to catch my breath, all right? Oh, this is crazy. Prophet Zechariah, in order, has a son with his wife, who is of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. All right? See? His wife was Elizabeth. Zechariah, whose wife was Elizabeth, shall bear. So what does it say? But the angel of the Lord says the prayer. All right. What does it say? What did it say about here? Where is it with Elizabeth? When they were both before God, walking in the commandments and ordinances of the Lord, and had no child, because that Elizabeth was barren, stricken in years. Okay, so you have Elizabeth and you have Zechariah. Elizabeth is now where we're focusing. We got the understanding here with Zechariah. All right, subsequent sequence of events. Zechariah 1 through 14, sequence of years that are coming, the events that are taking place. Well, his mother's name is Elizabeth. Okay, John's mother's name is Elizabeth. And they're told that he shall be great, exceedingly great, so afraid, strong, mighty, big. Let's see what else. That's why this program, eSword, is so important, guys. Mega. Let's follow it through. So let's go to 3176. Greatness, magnitude, ring a bell. Right? Great men. 76. Greatness. And what else did it come from? Let's see another thing. Let's have a look over here. 3187. Compare also. Let's go 3187. Larger, specifically in age. So he's large. He's a big man. He's older in age. He's a great man. He's renowned. Right? Remember, we're speaking of men. Modern day men. They're not going to be perfect. He shall be great in sight, all right, of the Lord, and shall drink neither wine nor strong drink. He doesn't drink. And he shall, this is the other one, and he shall be filled with the Holy Ghost even from his mother's womb. Now, this is hard for us to prove with anybody. Okay? Elizabeth is his mother. All right? He's the forerunner to Christ to prepare the way. He doesn't drink. And he's filled with the Holy Ghost from his mother's, from birth, all right? Watch this. Many of you guys have heard of this before regarding Trump, right? This is Trump's family. He loved his brother. This is Trump here. This is his brother Fred. He was 8 years older than Trump, and he died at 42 years old of alcoholism. He loved his brother. He was a handsome guy. He always talked him up. He was such a great guy, but he was an alcoholic, a heavy alcoholic, guys. Imagine dying at 42 years old from alcoholism. That's a heavy drinker, all right? So what did his brother Freddie say to him when he was little? He said he had previously told him in Newsweek special that Freddie, who was 8 years older than Trump, told him not to drink. He would tell me, "Don't ever drink. Don't ever drink," he said to Trump. A lot of you guys, I've heard this story before. That's why when I remembered that about John, I was like, what? That's right. So Trump, because of his brother, who died of alcoholism, but was a drunk and was heavy drinking even when he was just a little kid, because of that, Trump never drank. Shall neither drink wine nor strong drink. Never had a drink. He's taught all his kids. Now, it doesn't mean that Trump's kids haven't had a drink, but he taught them all to stay away from alcohol and drugs and cigarettes. As far as I know, they have. I don't know for sure with maybe a glass here or there, but Trump doesn't drink. Interesting, isn't it? John was not to drink. He was the precursor to Christ. Let's remember, guys, was Elijah, the Elijah spirit that we were told was John, but John, when he was asked, he said no, right? It's the spirit of the man that's in him preparing the way. Was he the same as, did he do the same things as Elijah? Did John do the same things as Elijah did, and Elijah the same thing? No, they were different abilities. But these guys were preparing the way, right? John was the one that prepared the way. When does Christ come? Christ is returning with the rapture time. He is going to be here in probably even late 2023, 2024. But in 2025, he is going to be on Mount Zion. How did Elijah get taken away? In a whirlwind, right? He was raptured. When? At the end of his mission. As perfect as Trump isn't, neither of us are. I was talking about in the last couple of videos how much, the things that he's doing in the background that we have no idea of. And the fight that he's doing against all of these corrupt crooks and everything that he's fighting in the back end for righteousness. Guys, I'm thinking he might be it. Of course he's not going to be perfect. Neither were any of these others. It's also a different time being used as a different person. All right? No alcohol, no alcohol. Well, let's go a step further. Look at his mother. Marianne McLeod Trump. Actually, I think this is his grandmother. No, I think this is his mother. Yeah, this is his mother. So, Scottish born. You can read this on her. See where she's from. Okay, you can get all this information here. And you see that, born May 12th. So you can see where she's from. But she comes from this family. So Marianne McLeod was born here. Was born of 10 children. Marianne McLeod. Her paternal grandparents were Alexander McLeod and McLeod. Maternal grandparents were Macaulay. They were born, so you can see where they were born. And the family's generations had suffered from these things here. Well, look at this. Her family were members of the Free Church of Scotland. Donald Trump's mother comes from the Free Church of Scotland. That's how she was raised. Here it is. It's a Scottish denomination which was formed in 1843 by a large withdrawal from the established Church of Scotland, right? Or division, known as the Disruption of 1843. Presbyterian, Calvinism, Protestant, right? They separated from the church and they followed Calvinism. See, they were part of that Reformation time. They were very, very strong Christians. See, that's when they separated. They still remained with the free. Some of them went in 1900s, and the rest stayed with and remained called the Free Church of Scotland. This is what his mother grew up in. Check this out. The House of Lords judged that the minority continuing after the 1900 Union. All right, so there were those that continued with it after 1900, after they came together on some of them, all right? And they became the United Free Church of Scotland. There were those that remained with the Free Church of Scotland. It said the House of Lords judged that the minority continuing after the 1900 Union were entitled to all the assets, while the denomination clearly had the denomination clearly had a starting date. In their eyes, their leaders had a legitimate claim to had a legitimate claim. Did you hear that? Had a legitimate claim to an unbroken succession of leaders going all the way back. Yep. To the apostles. Oh man, I just got goosebumps all the way down my arms, my legs, down the spine of my back. That's a big one. Oh, it's even getting bigger. I love it when it happens, man. That's the spirit, guys. I love it. That was a big one. Holy cow. It's like I got speed bumps for goosebumps on my arms. It's crazy. Hello? Guys, you see what I'm saying? That's where his mother comes from. Watch this. Oh, we're not done yet. There's his dad, all right? From his family. Guess what the last name is from Trump's dad's mother's side? Oh. Her name was Elizabeth. And the last name is Christ. Trump's grandmother's name was Elizabeth Christ. John's mother, Elizabeth, precursor to Christ. At the last Trump. Guys, this is impossible. Oh, man. Oh, man, I gotta wipe some tears away. This is crazy. Do you understand this? Come on. Elizabeth, John's mom's name. Christ, because he's the precursor to Christ coming. That sets it up. And he's the last Trump. Oh, man. Trump's dad's name was Frederick. He kept his mother's last name. And his name was Frederick Christ Trump. Guys, are you following this? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Who in the history of your life do you know with the name Christ? Not Jose. Christ. Seriously? All of these names are in the Bible. Alan Paul Dubray. No, there's only one. Paul. Right? My wife's name, Winnie Dubray. Nope, not in the Bible. Trump's grandmother, Elizabeth Christ Trump. Come on. Craziness. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And the lineage goes back, has a legitimate claim. This is crazy. Has a legitimate claim of an unbroken succession of leaders going all the way back to the apostles. Can you say John? Kidding? You see why I'm freaking out here? Do you get who he might be? Does he know it? I'll tell you something. I watched a little video clip of him maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched, and then it got to a part where he said, "I knew this was I knew this was coming." And for somebody who's listening, right? We're listening and we're watching. We're always paying attention, right, guys? Our ears are perked to certain words, certain phrases. And he was talking about it knowing that his time was coming. But it had to be perfect. It had to be in God's timing. Why do you realize that Trump, when he wins his second time, he is going to win in 2020. When does he end? In the rapture year 2024. When does Christ come? Same time. The precursor. Who's Trump fighting for? I know there's some things that we just, when we see what the media's putting out and we get kind of caught up with that stuff sometimes, we think, oh, there's no way on earth this guy's that. He's the Antichrist. Believe me, I fell for it too. Look at this stuff. How is it possible that this stuff is all connected to one man. And his name is in the Bible. He doesn't drink. And he shows up at the start of the 14 years as the leader of the free world, standing with Christians, backing Christians, standing up for them. He has leaders from all sorts of denominations surrounding him. I'm telling you, well, I don't know if he knows it or not, but I have a suspicion that he does. And what do you want me to say? I mean, look at it here. This is crazy. Right? It's wild. So, guys, I'm just putting that out there. And what a Byron Cyril, you know, one of the guys that puts out those prophetic words that he gets from the Lord, I talked about that one on May 16th when they were saying that the red horse rider is already here. And then it says, and you say, oh, but what about the white horse rider? And he's already here, but he'll be revealed at the peace deal. See that? He'll be revealed at the peace deal. Everybody thinks that the peace deal is going to be done by the Antichrist. Right? Maybe the person on the other side is the Antichrist. Have we ever thought of that? Maybe that's it. Maybe the one on one side isn't the Antichrist and the other one is the Antichrist. Right? If Trump and those guys are part of it, maybe it's not him, it's the other side. Right? But I showed you with Daniel 9, right? Daniel 9, that's Jesus when he returns in the final year. Go read Genesis 29 through 31. It's the final 21 years, those 21 years that he worked for his father-in-law Laban. 7 years, boom, gets the bride, his first one, right? That's us. Those of us who we pray were found accounted worthy to escape all these things. And then he worked another 7 years. Those first 7 years were called so easy, he said they flew by like days. Those were the easy ones. The tribulation hadn't begun. Then he's got 7 more years where it's not going to be fun. But he's happy to do it because he got his second bride. And then 7 more years, but before the 7th, the end of the 7th, boom, he confirms a covenant in that final year. See that? Guys, we're there now. We're there. I'm not going to go into that other stuff I was going to talk about. I thought this is enough for its own video. I'll have to do that on another video. Look at that. Look what Luke's, right off the bat, this is what Luke talks about. Look at that. That I would come and write to you because I have perfect understanding. I mean, geez, you have perfect understanding. Who are you to say you have perfect understanding, Luke, right? He said it right there. He has perfect understanding, and I'm writing because I have it all in perfect understanding from the beginning, and I'm here to give it to you in order. And the first person he talks about is Zechariah, who has it all in order. All in order. See, there's Darius, the 4th year of Darius. This is his second term. Where's this? Watch this. Remember, guys, watch this. Trump came in 2017, right? Officially January 20, 2017. That was his first year. How many years would you serve? How many years, if you win 2 terms, do you serve? 8. 8 doesn't make sense, does it? Because it's 7 years and 7 years. It's 14 years. So when we're here in Zechariah 1, what do we get? In the second year. In the second year of, I say Darius Trump. I've said it many times, right? In the second year of Darius Trump. Well, what was the second year? Started January 21st, 2018. Like we said earlier, this is all in order here. And this is January 21st forward in what? The first year of the tribulation year. 2018. If this said the first year and it was Trump, it would be off by a year. which means what? This is Trump's second year in 18, 19, 20. That's his fourth year, but it's third year here, right? His second year makes it his fourth. He wins, and then you have 21, 22, 23, 24. Oh, so what year would this be? The fourth year of his second term. Oh, you mean right here? In the fourth year. The word of the Lord came unto who? Oh, Zechariah. Well, of course, we're in Zechariah. Right? You get it? And this is the rapture here. Right here. Wrath comes next. Right? And what happens in 2025? Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I was. Remember, he is over here. What does he say? Look what he says here in 2018. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with great jealousy. 2025, when he's returned to Mount Zion, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I was jealous for Zion with great jealousy, and I was jealous for her with great fury. Thus saith the Lord, I am returned to Mount Zion and dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. See that? We've covered this many times. Look, what does he even say here? I talked about it in many videos, but for those of you who are new, and I'm going to finish up here. Then he tells them what? They're building, the foundation was already built by the 144,000. Now people are coming. We're in the year 2025. People have been coming from around the world. Old men, young men, right? All sorts of them are coming. And he says to the young ones, I hope your hands are strong, because they're the ones going to be building the temple. See that? Who's building it? The Lord is building it. And what does he say? For before these days, before 2025, there was no hire for man, nor any hire for beast, neither was there any peace to him that went out or came in, because of the affliction. Right? Because of the affliction. Because of the affliction that started in 2018. What affliction? What took away the peace? Whoops. What took away? Oh, why is it going so slow? Come on. Right? What took away? What did he say? Right? Because there was no peace. There was nobody to hire, because there was no peace because of the affliction. For I set all men, every one against his neighbor. This is the tribulation. Peace was taken away. Tribulation began. All right, so let's have a look. White horse rider has a bow. This isn't a bow and arrow. This is a simplest fabric. This is writing material. All right? This is the white horse rider, the Elijah spirit, however you want to call it. I'm not saying it's Trump, guys. I'm just saying everything seems to be lining up and pointing to him. I'm sorry, but it does. All right? No, he's not going to be perfect. He's being used at a world stage leader, not some guy in a wilderness this time. Why? Look at Trump's life. Why have people hated him for no reason? Years and years ago. Why was he hated even before becoming president? Because he was just some outspoken rich guy. There's a whole bunch of them and people love them. Why Trump? Why was he hated? Why were all the liberals always against him? Right? All the rich liberals and all the other, they're all against him. They all hate him. Even before he was president. Scoffing and laughing at him. It starts to fit more, doesn't it? But look at this. In the red horse rider, the second horse rider, what happens with the second horse rider? Power was given unto him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. Just like he said, I set men against men, right? There was nobody to hire. I couldn't start the temple before that because there was no peace because of the tribulation that was going on. 2018, Luke told us in order, Zechariah, who the white horse rider is, that he'll be revealed at the scroll, he'll be revealed at the bow, at the agreement placed out there. You'll know who the white horse rider is. And the red horse rider will be, I'd say, give or take 40 days from there. Get ready, guys. We are there. We are in that season. You know, we're trying to figure out the exact day. There's no exact day that the Bible gives us. All right? We're trying to figure it out. But now we can figure it out with this calendar. We now know, for those of you who believe it, what I was showing, we now know that the Hebrew calendar is the correct calendar. Everything we've believed that we've pointed to regarding blood moons and, well, actually all the blood moons, including this year's, we believed all of them and they landed on the days that they should have been. So guys, it is this year. It is now. Get ready. I love you. God bless you. We'll talk to you soon.